This is Personal Injury Court.
Good day, everyone. This is the matter of Gray versus Ortiz. Ms. Gray, it's my understanding from the documents that you filed with this court that you sustained a pretty serious hand injury while at Ms. Ortiz's funeral home. You're asking this court to award you $46,000 for past medical bills, $7,200 for lost wages, and $100,000 for pain and suffering, for a total award of $153,200. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Ortiz, you believe this is not your fault because you didn't know anything about what caused her injuries?
That's
True?
correct, Your Honor.
All right, well, let's get into the legal sauce. Tell me, what led you to be in a funeral home that day?
Well, Your Honor, I'm a makeup artist. Makeup has been my passion since I was a little girl. Even my baby dolls had makeup on all the time. I've been doing it for over 10 years now. I do weddings, I do sweet 16s, I do special occasions, anything, I can do it. My friend was telling me about a convention that was in town, and that is where I met Miss Ortiz. She is the director at the funeral home Ray of Light.
But how do you get into making up dead bodies?
You know, honestly, people may find it morbid, but beauty is beauty to me. So I feel like the bodies deserve to go out the way that they live.
You know, as I read your papers, the only other person I'd ever heard of being in this business is I was talking to Matt when I met his parents, and his mom did a little bit of this, so I thought 1 in 10,000 people would do this kind of work. Is that pretty unique?
Well, I'm 1 in 10,000 because I love it.
And Miss Ortiz, how long have you run this funeral home?
Your Honor, I've been at this particular funeral home for over 20 years. I inherited it from my husband, who got it from his parents when they retired.
Do you normally have a makeup artist come in to do work on the loved ones of folks?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. I normally have a regular staff, but I was at the mortuary convention and had a small booth, and that's how I met Miss Gray. She seemed like a nice enough girl at the time, so I thought, well, you know, if I need any extra help, I'll call her in. At this particular weekend, we were exceptionally busy. We had 3 funerals going on at once, and I needed an extra person to help out.
So, Ms. Gray, how did you get injured on this day?
So as I started working, I noticed some threads on the jacket part of, you know, the body. And as I was pulling them off, I saw another string in the pant pocket. So I opened up the second half of the casket, and then I pulled what I thought was a string, and Your Honor, it was a rat. It was like, and as soon as I did that, Your Honor, it attacked, like it lunged at me and it stuck its like razor sharp teeth. Your Honor, like, oh God, just talking about it, I can feel it all over again. Like,
a rat jumped out?
Your Honor, it jumped out at me and it bit me everywhere. It got my arms, Your Honor. Like, I was so frantic and I didn't know what else was in there.
I have an admission. Rats turn me into a little boy, okay?
It turns me into a little girl, Your Honor. I was terrified. So I slammed the bottom half, and then that's when I slammed it on my hand, Your Honor, and then I broke my 2 fingers.
So Miss Ortiz, a rat in a casket, that's kind of weird, right?
Yes, Your Honor, it is definitely weird.
I was hoping you would say yes. How did you know that something had happened?
Well, Your Honor, I was out front with the families. I had well over 100 people in the funeral home. I had 3 funerals going on all at once. I'm talking with some of the relatives and families, and I hear a scream in the back. I excuse myself and go running to the back. She's absolutely going crazy. Something about a rat, and I'm looking around going, rat, where? I see absolutely nothing, Your Honor.
You didn't see any rat?
I saw nothing, Your Honor. She's standing there absolutely going crazy. So I said, please, sweetheart, please, I don't know what's going on, but go home, get some rest, and let me call you in the morning, and let's work this out. Let's find out what's going on.
Now, Ms. Gray, I want you to come over to this casket and tell me exactly how this happened.
Yes, Your Honor. I opened up the top half. As I was sitting there and, you know, fixing them up, that's when I saw the threads, like, at the top part of the jacket. So I'm, you know, just pulling them off, make sure they're fine. And I saw another thread on the pant pocket part. So I was like, oh, okay, well, let me get it. And instead of, like, digging, you know, for what, I pulled, and then that's when the rat jumped on me and attacked. Your Honor, it bit at me. Like, it took chunks of my flesh with it.
You're gonna send me back into therapy here, okay?
I don't know what else is in here, so that's when I'm, just freaking out. And then so I just grabbed the top and then slammed it down and then landed on my hand.
So that's how your hand was hurt?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're screaming and flailing?
And flailing about.
And Miss Ortiz, that's what you heard that drew you back to see what was going on?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Gray, you may return to the podium. Thank you. Miss Ortiz, this happened at your funeral home. This isn't your fault?
No, Your Honor. May I please?
Yes, ma'am.
Please the court.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I would like you to look at this casket.
Okay.
Why was she in the bottom half of the casket? She had no business being in the bottom half.
So she could have done her job
There was no way she
on the
could
top
have
half.
seen that. Why did she open
Your
the bottom
Honor.
half? Why did she open
Your
the bottom
Honor.
half, Your Honor?
I mean, that's a good point.
I'm a perfectionist.
You're not putting makeup below the belt, right?
I understand, but I'm a perfectionist.
Okay.
At the end
Your
of the
Honor,
day,
it's exceptionally
my
curious
name-
that she's in the bottom
My
half.
name goes on that work, regardless of who sees it or who doesn't see it.
Your name is not on anything. Mine is.
That's still my name. That's my brand.
In terms of what they're gonna see, though, they're gonna see the top half, though, right?
But I like for things to look nice. I like to go a step above and beyond just to make sure that these people get the respect they deserve. Just because they're dead doesn't mean that they don't deserve that.
So, Miss Ortiz, had she not gone below the belt, this never would have happened, would it?
It never would have happened, Your Honor.
You can go back to the podium, man. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Gray, you have $46,000 in medical bills. Please explain that for me.
I broke 2 of my fingers on my dominant hand. This is my working hand. I can't work right now. Look at that. Like, that looks disgusting.
That's
I wouldn't
you.
want anybody to touch me looking like that.
It looks like the rat was actually hanging on
He
your
clung
skin.
on to life, Your Honor. Okay?
Woo! It makes me itch.
It should. The bites still haven't healed. Like, they're still sore. They itch all the time.
And you are left-handed.
I am.
And that's why you couldn't work, and you're asking this court to give you $7,200 for lost wages.
Yes, Your Honor. I can't even get dressed. I can't even cook.
Oh, please, Your
I've
Honor.
consulted an expert, Dr. Samantha Brown Parks, who's going to come in and explain your injuries. Sheriff, would you get Dr. Samantha Brown Parks
Yes,
for
Your
us?
All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
Come on back to your podium.
Oh, God. Look, it's looking at me.
Ah! Ew.
So, Judge, this is a common black rat, also known as a roof rat or a house rat, that you would find out in the community. A lot of humans have an innate fear of rats, probably because of the destruction that they've created on our civilization over time.
But they're not that friendly looking, Doc.
More importantly, they like to chew. They're omnivores, so they eat everything. So they chew on wood, they chew on paper, they chew on electrical wires.
Chew on skin, Your Honor.
But they also chew on corpses.
Doctor, what's your understanding of the plaintiff's injuries?
So from reviewing her case, it looks like the physician who treated her did everything right.
How do you treat that kind of thing?
We clean out the wound and treat it just like any other wound and dress it. But we also have to treat with prophylactic antibiotics. So rats are known to carry a lot of really kind of bad diseases.
Does the plaintiff face any long-term consequences?
It looks like her wounds will probably heal. She may have some scarring and need scar revision. But more importantly, given her history of a fear of rodents, I suspect that she'll have long-term longitudinal psychiatric or psychological counseling.
Doc, what about the toxicology report as it pertains to disease?
They tested her blood for a series of organisms that could infect her that she'd be at risk for. So salmonella, which can be carried in the urine and feces and then on the rat's fur.
And you get that when they bite you?
Or when they scratch you and climb on you. Then Yersinia pestis, which is the bubonic plague, which is from the actual bite. HIV, mostly because it was in a casket with a dead body.
This could have been really bad.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, doctor. You are released. Ooh. I'm sweating from that rat, y'all.
I understand.
I mean,
Your
that's, woo. Miss Ortiz, have you ever seen rats in your funeral parlor before?
No, Your Honor, never.
Not
ever.
even once?
Not even once, Your Honor.
The funeral home is disgusting. It is completely and utterly filthy. It's next to a garbage-filled alley.
You have submitted this photo. How can Miss Ortiz be responsible for garbage in an alley? You cannot hold her responsible, and frankly, more importantly, not you, but the law does not hold her responsible for other people's trash in the alley.
I have cleaning people that come in every single day after a funeral. Excuse me, I let you talk. I
Your
have
Honor,
passed
she's only gotten the place cleaned once.
Talk to me.
Every health inspection.
Your Honor,
Be
she
responsible.
doesn't clean but once a year.
Your Honor,
and
I
that's for the health
fumigate for bugs
inspection, just
all
to pass.
the time.
Okay.
Well, hold on for a minute. If she had 3 funerals that day, not everybody is dissatisfied with her place, right?
I understand, Your Honor.
It can't be that dirty.
So anyway, I went and read comments and reviews about the funeral home, and I do have a witness.
After you were injured?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and you brought a witness with you. Our documents say that's Miss Ellen Harris.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Harris, would you stand at the podium? Now, Miss Gray found you online, so you've had a funeral at Miss Ortiz's funeral parlor.
Yes, my mother's.
What was your experience like?
My experience was not good. My mother was OCD. She was always concerned about cleanliness. The day we had a funeral at the place, there was a bug in my mother's casket.
From that exterminator, right? That comes every 3 weeks, please.
Miss Ortiz, that's bad stuff, isn't it?
Well,
Bugs in a casket?
It was terrible.
Your Honor, please. I have an exterminator come all the time.
Okay, so she's got an exterminator that comes, but you had bugs in your mom's casket.
Yes, I had a bug in my mom's casket, and I saw rat droppings.
Rat droppings?
No, Your Honor.
Did anybody tell you there were rat droppings?
I did.
Now that's a big deal.
Rat droppings, and when I went to look, there were none.
Well, it couldn't have been M&M's. What was there?
Nothing, Your Honor. Nothing.
No rat droppings.
There has never been rat droppings in my funeral home, nor have there been bugs in my funeral home, and I pass every single health department check.
Miss Harris, after you told Miss Ortiz about the rat droppings, did you have any other contact with her?
No, after I told her about it, I was just quite upset because I know my mother would have rolled in her grave if she knew that I held her service in this filthy environment.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You may take your seat. Thank you. You said earlier that you called an exterminator for bugs.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right?
I have a regular exterminator that comes all the time.
I would
cousin
imagine that
produces
exterminator
receipts, Your Honor.
knows about rat droppings.
I've never seen rat droppings, Your Honor. Never, ever.
Folks, I think I've heard enough. I'm ready to render my decision. In every personal injury case, the plaintiff has to prove 3 things. You, Miss Gray, have to prove that Miss Ortiz was wrong and that her wrong caused your injuries. Here, you've put up a case to show that you go in to do your makeup and make this person look good for their family and loved ones, and you're trying to be a perfectionist, and you go below the top half of that casket and pull what you thought was a string, and it happens to be a rat that bit you, exposed you to terrible disease, and left you with your hand disfigured when you tried to close the casket. Miss Ortiz, you've never seen a rat in your place, seen rat droppings, you had an exterminator come for bugs, and despite that alley, you tried to keep your place clean. You say that had she never gone below the belt, this never would have happened. So she's responsible for her own injuries, right? Well, here, the law requires me to look at the evidence, and the evidence in this case must be balanced against what the law requires. The law requires a business owner to take reasonable measures to keep their business safe for customers and other people. If you have noticed that there is a potential hazard, then you must act responsibly as a business owner and take precautions to lessen or eliminate that hazard. Here, Miss Ortiz, Miss Harris reported that there were rat droppings, and it appeared to me that you did not take that seriously. The alleyway alone with garbage in it is not enough to hold you responsible. droppings are. The droppings are what required that you get somebody in there to look at that place and make sure that there are no rodents or any pestilence around. You didn't do that. And in that regard, I'm going to find in your favor, Miss Gray, and award you $46,000 for medical bills, $7,200 for lost wages, $100,000 for pain and suffering, for a total award of $153,200 in favor of the plaintiff. That's my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned. Our attorneys across America just viewed this case for the first time. Let's hear what Gary Martin Hayes has to say.
Just when you think you've seen it all, the plaintiff won in this claim because she was able to provide testimony from an unbiased witness who had no financial interest in the claim. And she testified that the funeral home was nasty and dirty. She showed that the funeral parlor allowed the rat infestation by not doing enough to keep the property clean. Ms. Ortiz's failure to keep the premises safe was her ultimate demise.
No.